Hello, in this tutorial we're going to be making a SIG using mainly grunge brushes, and just bring up my sizes here. I use a lot of presets, pretty badly named ones as well, but you can use any size you want. The brushes I'll be using here today are mainly from a guy I found on DeviantArt called MetalCX, so I'll put a link to his profile on DeviantArt on the comment thing on YouTube. So the main point of brushing on here is to try and create a sense of depth, which is I want it dark at the outsides, I want it slowly fading into light on the middle. So it's like, it's hard to explain really, but hopefully you'll see during the tutorial what I mean. So people say that you shouldn't use a brush more than once during a SIG, but there's no reason why you can't if you can use it well. I have a stupidly large amount of brushes and I should really sort them out one day, but I probably never will. Now I'm going to start brushing the white, so I'm going to choose white as a colour and start brushing over the centre to help create the depth effect that I was talking about earlier. Probably want a bit more black there actually. Okay then, that should be good enough. And this is my render that I've chosen. I'm going to try and, well, I'm not going to try, it should just be an easy process of dragging it in, but obviously Photoshop doesn't want to let me. It just wants to create blank layers. But you can always just press Ctrl A, which I should just do now, to delete these layers. Just press Ctrl A, Ctrl C, and copy it into the SIG. It's a bit big, so you can only resize it. I zoom out and use Ctrl T free transformation, move it roughly to where I want, zoom back in so I can judge the size, because you can lose quality by changing the size too much. Make sure it's the top layer. You want to make sure that it's sort of in the position you want, to just center it there. Then you want to duplicate this, and you want to set the bottom layer to 65% opacity on normal. So you can see like that. Desaturate the top layer, and now you're going to want to set the lasso tool 20% pixel feather, and draw a rough line around the render. As you can see, it doesn't have to be neat at all. It just helps create a fade in effect on the render when you press the mask button. This should happen, and it all looks very nice and fadey, which is cool. So this is the C4D render I've chosen. I've chosen it because it shares the colours with my render. If I was making a more advanced SIG, I would choose it on colour and flow, but since it's a more basic tutorial, I am not concentrating on flow here. I may do that in a later tutorial if I make any. So just resize that, same technique as before. Now I'm going to set this on overlay, sort of see-through in depth and dark and stuff. Now I want to add a grade. Do I? No, yes, no. No. I want to create a new layer, and I want to go to gradient tool. I'm going to use the gradient tool, and I want a black to white, or white to black. I can never remember which, and it always ends up going wrong. But I want it so I can create a radial blur of white at the middle and black on the outside, so I can increase the depth again, which is important because I keep mentioning it. So you want something like that, an overlay, and adjust the opacity to your own taste, like that. And then this way. Now you want to create a gradient map, which is gradient maps. They add the color to your SIGs, and I had trouble adding color to this SIG because the outsides didn't want to colorize basically, and just keep adding these until you're happy with the SIG. So I'm gonna add a few of these. This next one I'm going to use is called the photo filter. It's very useful in warming up or cooling down your signatures. And since this is quite a warm signature, I'm going to add a cooling filter to make it cooler really. It really does help a lot. So I'm just going to change the opacity on these. Opacity and the layer properties are very useful when editing SIGs, because they can change the entire feel. And here I'm going to try something a bit drastic. I don't normally advise this, but I'm going to create a block of solid colour and just change the blending settings. See if I can get a bit of colour in here, but I don't know how well this is going to work. Let's delete that. I mean, it sort of looks alright, but we'll just see what I can do. I'll move on, see what happens. So I'm going to create a new layer, another gradient map, even. Let's see what I've got. Something nice and colourful would be good. Try and reverse this, get some colour in there. Oh, that's quite nice actually. I like the pink. So this looks quite nice, I guess. A bit lurid perhaps. Just blend that down. Get rid of the red actually, doesn't look any good. Here I think I'm going to apply an image, so I need to create a new layer. So I can't erase it without doing this, so create a new layer. I'm going to go image, apply image, and merge down my gradient map layer. So I can erase some of this, and then it's pretty good. I think this is probably the best I'm going to get out of this sig. It's not been my best, I'll admit that. So I'm going to fill in a new layer, edit, stroke, 3 pixels on center to create a nice border. And so use the magic wand tool, select the white and delete it. Now to add the text, I'm not particularly great on text, but I'm going to choose a nice grunge text. I've got a lot of text. I have a lot of resources, me. So find a nice text. You can use base 02, I think. Now the tip is here to select the colour from your sig. So I'm going to try and find a nice, well, I don't really want a pink or a beigey pink. I need either a yellow or a red. Let's tap the font. I think that red would look nicer. Just use the arrow keys to nudge it about there. But I think I'm going to change the colour to a red. So I'm going to try and find a... Let's go select text. I'll just see if I can find a nice one. It looks alright, but it doesn't fit. So I'm going to select a nice dark magenta colour and just use that. Okay, so that's pretty much my sig. If you like this video, comment. I might make some more at some later date. I just hope that the sig went okay for you. So, goodbye.